Welcome into quite possibly the last dropping dimes of the season. I'm your host, Matt Nost, and I'm joined by longtime friend, fellow diehard NBA fan, Mr. Erik Griffin. How are you, sir?
Hello. I don't like that I look like a giant compared to you.
I'll do that.
There you go. Thank you.
I'll
Jesus.
Here, I'll pull this a little closer. I'm even bigger. Not a problem.
Oh, man. All right. This could be the last one of the season. Yeah, it's going to be. It should be. Like, why wouldn't it be, right?
I mean, after these games, look, when you lose Bam and you lose Goran's doubtful tonight. Bam is going to play.
That would have made a difference. They wouldn't have made a difference.
I think that we wouldn't be at 3-1 right now, quite possibly 2-2.
Listen, man, they're in a gym, okay? They're playing they're playing in a gym. There's no crowd. It's all about self-determination now. It's all about you have to go within yourself and use your teammates and all that for motivation, okay? And there's no bigger presence than LeBron James.
True.
Like I went to the Clipper game this past year, one of the last few games, and I was sitting maybe 10 feet away from LeBron James. You can feel that thing that he has, okay?
Yeah.
Those guys in the league, those guys don't have that. They don't have it. There's no way he wasn't going to win this series. There's no way he wasn't going to do what he's doing right now because of just these circumstances. Does it put an asterisk on it? I don't know. To me, it almost makes it even more impressive, because of what they've done. But this isn't a series. It's boring,
I see. Okay, first off, the asterisk. No, I think this is a legitimate title because the circumstances on some level are more difficult than a regular. You don't get to go home. You don't get to sleep in your bed. You don't get to eat your regular meals. You don't see your family as consistently. Just that regular day-to-day that keeps you sane has been taken out, and you got to factor that into the overall. Now, there's also the flip side. There's no travel, and you don't have to deal with the
family.
Yeah, the family and all the bullshit, trying to get tickets for people, last minute requests. So I mean, it's got both, but the whole asterisk thing to me is after watching it, I don't agree.
Well, I mean, I think I'm not saying that there is going to be, but I mean, it is. I mean, it's just regardless of what we think about it personally. It's first of all, LeBron James is damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. The only possible way for this season to end, with those kind of questions, or is LeBron James has to win the championship. I mean, he had no other choice. He had to win the championship because if he lost or didn't make it, it would be like, oh man, let's see, Then if he wins, it's like, well, they were in a bubble and all this stuff, and all the teams weren't, whatever you want to say. He's going to be damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. But when it's all said and done, years from now, it'll count as his fourth title, and on the road to being trying to be the greatest of all time. Because I think that because of his age, he'll be 36, 37 in this contract that he has right now. Anthony Davis is in his prime. I mean, let's say they three-peat,
Yeah.
That'll be a serious, he might be the best player of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
The same thing 2 weeks ago. It's just look, if he gets, there's a damn good chance that they are in the running to do a three-peat by the end of his contract. And at that point,
he gets the three-peat. I'm a huge Jordan fan. I mean, I think Jordan, what Jordan did in his career and just the impact and just the rawness of his game and just everything about Michael Jordan, he'll always be in that conversation to be the greatest of all time. You know what I mean? It'll take someone but this is come on, dude, 10 times to the finals. Let's say he gets there 2 more times. That'll be 12 trips to the finals. And if you know what I mean, it'd be crazy if he got, you know what I mean?
And on top of that, the biggest, I guess, arrow in my quiver against it is a lot of those years were all of them, save for this one, were in the East. And name me a Hall of Famer that he went through in the East and all those finals runs.
But that's not his. But that's not his fault.
It's not his fault. But to hold it up as this wildly impressive things, it is because of the amount of mileage and minutes and whatnot. But the first 2 rounds every year in the East were a cakewalk for him.
I totally disagree with you. I couldn't disagree more.
I know.
See, this is what I'm saying about damned if you do, damned if you don't. No, See, what you're saying is why he's so impressive. It's not because the East was bad. See, that's what he doesn't get any credit. No, he was just that good that he made them look that bad.
See,
I think get to the finals 8 times in a row because because first of all, the Western Conference is so overrated. Like so overrated.
I love it. You're the only person that I know that has this opinion where the Western Conference.
Look at the Golden State Warriors when they go, like, you know, you're trying to tell me that you just look at the records, look at those teams. Both sides are top heavy. They're top heavy. So yes, like in the last 5 years, you had the Golden State. So you're trying to tell me that the Golden State Warriors, you know, like the West was so great for them to go through? No, name me those other teams. And if you put those teams in the East, how are they better than any of these other teams? Milwaukee.
But the thing is, though, in the West, it's 1 through 10 to 1 through 12 every year are tough teams. Whereas this year, teams 7 and 8 that made it into the playoffs wouldn't have stood a chance against teams 9 and 10 in the West. They just wouldn't have.
I don't know about that. You know, and when you look at the record, the East versus the West in the last like 5 or 6 years, it's like it's not this like, oh, the Western beats the East.
The disparity is still the West is the primary of the two. Look, are you telling me
not the playoff teams? Not the playoff teams.
Memphis wouldn't take Brooklyn or Orlando?
This year is an anomaly, man, because of like how no, for real, how bad everything was towards the end. But I'm just saying, look, the teams that have a chance to win the championship, all right? The actual teams that have a chance to win the championship, that is either neither here nor there every single year.
Usually
Michael Jordan always played in the East, you know, but what are we saying about that? But he still went through, you know, of the top 50 players of all time, 2 of those players were, you know, that's what makes what he did impressive. But you can't take that away from LeBron James. What was he supposed to do? He was in the, you know, you play the people that are in front of you. And if he dominates them, you know, it's because the guy's freaking 6'9" with 2% body fat and the most God-given talent any player has ever had in the history of the basketball.
I'm not denying it. And his basketball IQ that could be the best I've ever seen.
He's the most physical specimen.
But if he does it in the West over the next, like they manage to three-peat or at least get to the finals 3 times, that to me would be wildly impressive because the West is stacked and it's actually only going to be better next year and hypothetically the year after that because they have the growth of the young teams coming up is going to be, you know, pretty dramatic. I mean, you got the Mavs. If Memphis probably takes a step back, but still, Memphis is a team that I like. Phoenix, can they build on that? And these are the teams that didn't make the playoffs. Minnesota feels like they should be a playoff team, but I don't buy that shit. And that's not even, I mean, then they still have all the other talent to go through. And if they manage to do that, that's a hell of an accomplishment for LeBron. And I'm, you know, finally, to me, he's consistently crushing the hardest competition to make it to the mountaintop, as opposed to first round to 2 rounds in the East. It's kind of a cakewalk for him. It's
the
pretty
first 2 rounds in the West are always a cakewalk too.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
What do you need to look back at the records. Look at Golden State's like run. There's never any. The first round always sucks.
Like 3 years ago, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. The first round, 2 of the series went to a Game 7.
Who?
Stacked.
Who?
What was it? It was the Mavs versus. Was it Mavs Spurs that went to? Well, last year, look at Denver Spurs went to a Game 7. This year, Utah and
well, this year, man,
Denver.
This is like
go to a Game 7.
I didn't count like anytime, like even when a team went up 3-1 or whatever. I never thought about that because that home court advantage is real. That's a real thing about playing at home. So this is like who has it in them to be better in a pickup basketball game type gym environment. And it's going to be the team with the most talented people on the combination of players on the team. They're going to be the ones that are going to win, and that's what ended up happening, I think.
Well, I mean, it is an interesting look at whose team is probably the most complete because the environment is consistent. It's static, so you don't have to deal with all that other nonsense. So just like you pick up basketball, you're running out, and one team ultimately is going to be superior. But I do think the subtraction of Dragic is huge for the Heat. If they had him, then suddenly you really need KCP, Alex Caruso, or Rondo to be able to stop the engine of the Heat. And it would just create a lot more chaos that they don't have because Jimmy can drive, but it's primarily drive left or right rather. And then it's Tyler Hero. And then outside of those two guys, they don't have anybody that drives. Everybody else sits out on the outside and shoots.
So, well, I mean, they're just coming up against a monster, though. I mean, this really is a monster of a team, the Lakers. You know, when you step back and take a look at it, I mean, you're talking about somebody that we're arguing is the greatest player of all time.
True.
Anthony Davis is probably look. If you listen, Tim Duncan's great. You know, we always look at Tim Duncan because
Tim Duncan under the bus.
No. I'm just saying I'm just saying because look, if you were picking if you were picking teams for your life,
sure.
You know, and you were and you had to choose like the power forward position, and I'm saying of all time, you know, I'd take Kevin Garnett over Tim Duncan. You know, I would take, you know, I'm just saying there's like the power forward position is like one of those positions. But what I'm saying is talent pound for pound, Anthony Davis is going to go down as probably one of the greatest power forwards ever, you know.
So long as he stays healthy.
We used to say that 5 years ago and he stayed healthy. You know what I mean? You look at the last 3 years.
It's like the Steph Curry thing. He was on a cheap contract because he had ankle troubles, but once he got his, you know, physiology and everything right, it's like there's no stopping him. Just like AD,
but I'm just saying,
stay on the court.
He's going to get this championship. Let's say he gets another championship. I'm just saying, you know, we're going to talk about that guy. Okay, you got him. People forget how great Dwight Howard was, you know, and it's like his attitude, he took a team, he beat LeBron's team. Yeah. He was the anchor, the best player on that team that got to the championship. And if it wasn't for this one idiot on the Orlando Magic's team, I think they could have won that series against the Lakers. But anyway, my point is,
I don't know. If you look at that Orlando team, though, outside of Dwight, how many of them ever had any kind of longevity in their career? What, Rashad Lewis, Michael Pietrus?
I know. That's why that's what I'm saying.
Nelson, no, JJ Redick on a rookie contract. Like it was.
That's my whole point. I mean, I totally agree with you. But and that's my whole point about why it was impressive. How great. Then he just had mental, whatever the thing. But what I'm saying though is like you're talking about a guy that was an MVP candidate. Yeah. Anthony Davis every year is in the conversation for MVP. You know, type of talent. You have LeBron James, and then you have these like great role players. You got a great coaching staff. I mean, I'm just saying this is a better team than people even are giving it credit for. I think, you know.
Well, so I mean, look,
Miami don't stand a chance, man. They never.
Well, because they have the Lakers have two guys that combined on any given night are going to give you 60 points. 30 to 35 rebounds, like just ridiculous stats, 20-ish.
And it's so long, dude. It's so long.
Their starting five is long. KCP is long. When they roll out Dwight, although I think they need to not start Dwight or JaVale and just take out that small lineup, put Rondo in because their plus minus numbers with Rondo on are staggeringly more efficient.
Crazy. It's, again, another guy who's already won a championship, right? I mean, this is it's really a stacked all-star team. You know what I mean? When you think about it, like with their all-star careers, you know, they have these all-star careers all together.
Well, I mean, Rondo's 3 years ago, it was, man, can he even stay in the league? He gets drummed out of Dallas because he has a dust up with Rick Carlisle, and then he goes over. I mean, he plays with the Kings and the Pels, and it's just like, I don't know. He has a night every once and again where it's Rondo, and then suddenly, just like, yeah, you can see the value of somebody like this in the playoffs.
By the way, I'm looking at. I wanted to pull up and see like these teams in the Eastern Conference right now.
Sure.
And I'm looking at this. You got a team like Indiana. Indiana, they're equivalent to Utah. They got that one guy.
Not anymore. Oladipo is going to be gone. They're more than likely going to trade Miles Turner.
Well, even still, what I'm saying is, if you flip flop those teams, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You know, like you'd be like, it's not like if Indiana was in the Western Conference, they'd be doing anything more different than what Utah is doing. Then you got Philadelphia, 2 generational talents on that team. All right, Boston, Celtics.
Pure dysfunction.
I know, but Doc Rivers is going to clean that up.
We'll see about that.
Oh, he's great. Wait. Doc Rivers is great at making players, especially all the other players around those guys. He's going to make them play to their best ability. I just don't know if he's going to be able to get them over the hump, but they're going to be a lot better. All right.
I think it just comes down to whether or not Embiid and Simmons can get along, because it seems like they have a tenuous, relationship at best.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't care. They get paid millions of dollars.
Okay, but that aside, they still have massive egos, and each thinks that they should be the primary within the offense.
And that's why you get a guy like Doc Rivers. That's the whole point of that's the coach's job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, they all have egos, and the coach's job is to be like, to mold that into a cohesive unit to make them play well. That's why the coach gets $10 million a year. Like all that stuff, I could care less. Like, I don't care if they like each other. They could hate each other. You hear these 50 greatest players of all time. They talk all the time about how, I didn't like my teammate, or all we did was play together, but I knew how to play with this guy. You don't have to lie. I don't care if they like each other. Yeah, Kobe and Shaq won 3 championships. They could have won 8 if they liked each other, but they won 3.
But at the same time, each one of them
hated each other the whole time.
But each one of them, to a man, in essence, says like the winning was the salve on that wound. And as soon as they start not winning as much as they should be, it's when that discord becomes just a fucking huge rift between the two. And it's just unsalvageable at that point. Can Doc mend that before the rift becomes, huge?
I don't know. I will say this, I'm sad I got my Clipper shirt on right now. I just think that, Doc's the only coach to ever lose 3 times in up 3-1 in a series.
Yeah, he accounts for like 23% of all.
Here's the thing about Doc Rivers. He is great at taking Lou Williams type players and getting the best out of them. Okay. I'm talking, he can take dudes that are like that. They would make the all-star team if it wasn't for 12 other all-stars that are there that are like just a little bit better, or their records are better on teams, or they're the stars of other teams. Yeah. But like any other time, I mean, Lou Williams is as good as any of these like other starters in the league. He's great, right? He gets the best out of Montrezl Harrell. He can take those type of guys, galvanize them. But the one issue that I have with Doc Rivers is he's got trouble with alpha dogs. Even though I just said he's going to be able to clean that up in Philly, because I think a new voice is going to help them. But I hope that Doc Rivers can get past that, because to me, that's where the issue comes in. There's something about like those real all-star type guys that he can't get necessarily the best out of them, but he get a team around them to really galvanize and be like, we're going to play our hardest. So I think that new energy in Philly, Doc's going to come in and they're going to hear a new voice. They're going to like that, and that first year it's going to be great. And he might even get them far in the playoffs, but I hope he can get through to those 2 guys, because that's what they need.
All right. What else you got in the East? You about said Boston Celtics.
Oh yeah. The Boston Celtics, that's a great team. That's sure. What I'm saying is the Boston Celtics, Toronto Raptors, Milwaukee Bucks, if they keep the people that they have, because I don't even know if Giannis is going to stay. Yeah, but I'm saying those teams are 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the same as the 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the West. And then we don't know what the Brooklyn Nets are going to look like. The Brooklyn Nets are going to look like they're going to be like, they might be like, you might see Lakers Brooklyn next year,
They could be. But my contention, it's not with the top end. It's with 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 in the West, that the West has to play those guys and beat them. And they're all legitimate teams. Whereas in the East, it's like, oh my God, you got cakewalk night with either the Hornets or the Pistons, or, all these teams that are just much easier when you get to play them a couple extra games, as opposed to shit. We got Memphis tonight, and John Morant is intent on putting up 35 on us and making us look the fool. Just like I fear them more than I do 8 teams in the East.
Yeah, but when it's all said and done, the NBA is the easiest sport to predict.
That's true. You just top end talent.
When you say, these are the top 3 teams, and these are the teams that are going to be there in the end. It's usually those teams. Like no matter what happens.
Still, though, I had your Clippers winning it all this year, and
so did they. But they didn't even want to play. I have mixed feelings because they were one of the teams that voted to not play in the bubble.
Them and the Lakers.
They were saying, I want to play in the bubble. So, but at the same time, though, it's like then you can look at the end and go, well, they probably weren't really into it. But if that's the case, why fire Doc Rivers? So that means they really were into it,
Well, according to reports, that was Ballmer's decision. The front office wanted to keep Doc, but Ballmer, he went against the front office because they said Michael Porter Jr. was never going to pan out, and he watched him torch him in a couple games. He was up and down just like he was for all of the playoffs. And then the fact that the Lakers ran roughshod through the Nuggets, and Clippers had so much trouble with them, and they couldn't basically, retack and figure out a new course. And it was those two big things that Steve Ballmer was like, it's time for a change.
Well, listen, when you spend $2 billion on something, 4 years later, you want some results. So I don't blame the guy. I mean, he's really hands off in terms of like that. But I guess he's like, I could see him being able to be like, yeah, let's go in a different direction. And they're like, yeah, okay.
I'm not giving it all of you, but maybe a slight change here would do us well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he deserved another year. I think because of the bubble, but at the same time, I also understand it's like, all right, man, you've had. Yeah. I think if they didn't lose the way they lost, if it was like a 7-game series and they lost like that, then I'd be like, okay, all right, it was a tough one. We got the bubble. He would have got another chance, but you can't be up 3-1 and then just like collapse like that, especially after giving away everything to get Paul George, who is the most overrated player of all time. Maybe of all time. There isn't a more overrated player than Paul George.
And you guys, honestly, nobody wants him at that contract. There's no way you're going to be able to salvage getting back. And I agreed with you in that I figured Doc would get one more year just because Kawhi and Paul George are under contract for one more year.
Yeah.
So, and they came to play for Doc. So just to try.
No, I think they came to play for LA.
Well, yes, but Doc was a motivating factor within that. If they had a different coach, perhaps that, it wouldn't have been as alluring.
I don't know. Speaking of coach, good for Fred. What's his name? Vogel. Because I remember in the beginning of the year they were talking about Jason Kidd will be the coach by midseason.
Well, I mean, look, outside of Indy, they didn't have a whole lot of track record of getting the most out of his teams. Because he went to Orlando after that and just had a ho hum time in Orlando.
Yeah, but he had ho hum players.
True.
You know what I mean? What are you supposed to do? This is a talent based league. They blaming the coach because they can't draft or get players to come to Orlando.
Yeah, but at the same time, like look at Kenny Atkinson for the Nets. That was a whole bunch of just miscellaneous parts, and they were a tough out night in, night out, just because they were well coached. So it is possible. Were they a championship threat? No, never in a million years. But during the regular season, just like they're coming to play. That's actually who I hope my Bulls had hired before they got Billy Donovan. I like Kenny Atkinson. I think he's a good coach. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right, for tonight's game.
Right, tonight's game.
What can the Heat do to win this?
Well, they just have to have one of those nights like they had the other night. That's it. They just got to have one of those nights, But again, I just don't see that happening. I mean, I just see the adjustments that Vogel's like actually shown himself to be a great coach. True. Because he's getting this guy who's a coach killer to do what he wants. I mean, he and then LeBron James is just a sign of his like age and maturity, really, his wisdom. I mean, by the way, I'll say this: if LeBron James had allowed himself to be coached all these years,
yeah.
He's let his greatness outplay. He's just let his greatness get in the way, actually. He's so great that he just let it get in the way. But if he had allowed himself to be coached, that dude might have 8 championships right now, and it would be no question he'd be the greatest player of all time. But anyways, Vogel right now, he's like, they've made great adjustments, and I just don't see how. I don't know. Miami has to just have one of those nights. They need Hero to have like 30. Jimmy Butler's got to have another triple double.
Yeah,
they got to somehow keep the rebounding discrepancy that they've been having. They got to keep that.
Well, they've winnowed that down so where it's closer and closer. It's not like games 1 and 2 where there was just a massive disparity. Plus that in the second chance points, they're still giving up way too many second chance points if they want to have a shot at beating the Lakers.
Yeah, but Duncan can get hot. It's just one of those things. They just got to have one of those nights. But I don't know. I just see like all of them want to get home. All of them want to get out of Orlando. Okay. And I just think that like even with like they got to be thinking, damn, I wish we were in front of our fans. I wish all that, I wish it was a normal situation. We can't even have a parade, I mean, there's a lot of emotions and feelings going on, but I got to think that I just don't see the Lakers and LeBron James not just closing this out. I just don't see him not doing that.
Well, when you have LeBron, who already has, championships, and you have his steady presence on the court. I agree. It's going to be really difficult. I think that when the Heat drive, especially Jimmy, you need to actually try and go for the layup as opposed to doing that kick out that he does way too much to just try and get Anthony Davis in foul trouble. You need to get LeBron or Anthony Davis off the court as much as you possibly can.
Well, the big problem, I think, like the last game, it wasn't even about LeBron and Anthony Davis. Like those guys
KCP went off.
I'm saying those guys have been dominant. Like, those in the first 3 games, like the wins, that'll be like LeBron and Anthony Davis combined for 65, 20 rebounds in this. So if they're holding them to like both 25 each, but you're getting 16 from Rondo, 15 from KCP, 10 and 20 from Dwight Howard. The JaVale McGee's coming in for 5 points and 2 blocks, and then you got the white boy point guard that comes in, Caruso coming in, and they're just the defense that the Lakers are playing is impressing me like the most. Like, listen, man.
Yeah, no, they're trying. It's the hardest I've seen LeBron play on defense in
you know what team
a decade. Like, it's been a long time since I've seen him play this hard consistently over the course of a season. It's been impressive to watch it. A guy 35 years old with tens of thousands of minutes on his legs. You know
what this team reminds me of? This team reminds me of the Miami Heat with Shaq and Dwayne Wade. That's what this team reminds me of.
Okay.
Because Shaq was still great. Like, he was still great and he was still dominant. They wouldn't have won without him. But Dwayne Wade he had ascended. That's what's happening with this Laker team right now.
Still, though, Dwayne Wade got foul calls like he was a 10-year superstar in that series.
He averaged 39 points in the last 4 games of that series, man.
Go look
39 points. He averaged 30. He got fouled because they can't stop him.
Oh, dude, there's clips of phantom fouls where
the
guy swipes at him and it's a foot away.
Here we go.
Dude, I believe he shot more free throws. I believe he shot more free throws than the entirety of the Dallas Mavericks.
Because they couldn't stop him.
They
couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop it. Anyway, my point is, you saw a dominant guy. You saw a dominant guy like Shaq at the tail end of his career. He still was great, but you saw this other guy, right? That's what's going to happen with the Lakers now moving forward. LeBron, he's still great. He's proven himself to be the best player in the league still, But then, like, Anthony Davis is like, yeah, but you know what? I'm 6'11", and I can shoot threes, dribble, and I can guard a 2-guard in the
7'6" wingspan.
I can guard the 2-guard in the finals that just gave us 40. So he's ascending to a point where they're just complementing each other so well. So I just feel like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Anthony Davis is this cauldron of very specific. Like, he was a guard up until a freshman or sophomore year of high school, and then he had just a monstrous growth spurt. So that's why, like, when you watch him that 1 year at Kentucky, it was still awkwardly getting used to this massive frame, and then slowly over time, it's like, oh yeah, this guy's got a handle.
He was so gangly too, right? He was so little, Now he's like his upper torso and stuff. It's like he's just a monster. You know what I mean?
LeBron wisely was like, dude, if I could get this guy to play with, then I'm going to have a championship window that's going to extend well past, anybody else's prime.
You know what's crazy? You ever see LeBron James and Anthony Davis standing next to each other?
Sure.
You see them standing, you got to really look at that. LeBron James is a monstrous man. Like this, you look at Anthony Davis, you go, oh, that guy's 6'11" and such, right? And then you see LeBron standing next to him, and he's probably the most physical, talented specimen that's ever played in the NBA.
I don't think there's any question of that.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, and even with Dwight Howard's just big, they're all big, but LeBron, he's just like chiseled and like, I can't even believe it, man. 35 years old.
You're basically taking Dwight Howard at his big physical presence and then just shrinking him down a couple inches. And LeBron then packs on another like 10 pounds of muscle and has the agility and speed of a guard at his size. It's utterly ridiculous. It's an athletic freak.
I don't know what Miami's going to be able to do tonight, but they're like missing a certain type of player, I think. But you know what? That kid,
Dragic.
that kid Tyler, that wouldn't have made a difference. I don't
I
think
think
that
it
would
would
have.
have. I think it would have made a difference.
I don't think
They
so,
might have
dude.
still gotten shell shocked in the first game, but I think because they got too much fight in them. So I think that game 2 would have been a much closer affair. He was the engine of their offense, and to take him out suddenly, and then you put Nunn in there, and Nunn every time he shoots, I think it's a miss. Every time he shoots right now,
It's none. It's none.
It's none. It's basically the equivalent of Danny Green. Anytime Danny Green shoots now, it's weird, but I think it's going to be a miss. Yeah. Kendrick Nunn is the exact same. It's just like, dude, you should not be shooting, even though you have to.
It's crazy that they even made it to the championship in the first place. I mean, just there is some dysfunction going on through the whole Eastern Conference right now. Just
it's
a lot of dysfunction.
It's the first year though. It seems like the NFL where look at the Giants when they won their championships under Eli. They just started clicking at the perfect time.
Yeah.
And they caught guys and they were just playing. They were playing their game, and the Heat just seemed to the bubble suited them very well, and they just started clicking.
We just never get to see what we want to see. I mean, I really would have liked to have seen LeBron go up against Milwaukee. I wanted to, you know what I mean?
Dude, Milwaukee.
Or even Boston.
Boston, yes. I thought Boston was going to make it to the finals.
Well, I just think that, like, at this point, I was not surprised. Did Milwaukee fire their coach? I'm not even sure if they fired their coach or not, but he's
staying.
But it's just something about, like, it shows the difference between the playoffs and the regular season.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have a dude that's like such a physical specimen too, like Giannis is, but it's not enough to, I hate not getting the series that we want to see. Like, we never got to see Shaq. I mean, I'm sorry, Kobe and LeBron face each other in the finals. Like, we never got to see that, and we could have. That would have been just an epic battle. We never got to see it. So once again, it's like when I saw what was happening in the Eastern Conference, I was a little disappointed.
Well, I mean, with Giannis and the Bucks, the NBA in the playoffs boils down to, can you get me a bucket late in the game? And Giannis, if he can't get a drive, do you trust his jumper? I certainly don't.
Yeah.
So then you need Middleton, and Middleton's confidence seems to be shaky. That's your second best option. Just like that's a team full of question marks to me.
Yeah. That's why they didn't make it, obviously. Yeah. Better. I mean, the Miami Heat have a great combination of players ascending at the right time, and they got a great coach and a great organization. I mean, kudos to the Miami Heat, for being relevant for like all these years with all different types of styles, all different types of players, right? I mean, it's
a year ago, I had a Heat fan on the show and was like, dude, what do you guys do? You got Whiteside under a ridiculous contract. You got Deion Waiters under a ridiculous contract. You got Tyler Johnson under a ridiculous contract. Like, I don't know what the fuck you do. And then they turn this around in the course of a year by drafting Hero at 13 or 14, getting G League Kendrick Nunn, and then a former D3 Michigan guy, Duncan Robinson, who, nobody wanted, who's trying to get into sports journalism before he actually made it into the NBA because he didn't think he had a long-term shot. And you developed all this talent and went out and got Jimmy Butler. Shit, made a trade for Iguodala, but it was really the Jay Crowder trade.
Yeah. I mean, it's anyways, but they are still, the thing about the NBA, like, you have to have, like, there's a certain type of player. Jimmy Butler's not there. He's that second guy. He's not that guy.
He's not a full alpha.
Yeah, he's not that guy, but he's that guy you want next to the guy.
Yeah, it's like a 1A,
you know
1B.
What I mean? Yeah, you need him next to the guy, but he's just not the guy.
Yeah, he's more than happy, which is frustrating to watch when, like, late in the last game, where he's doing those pick handoffs to Hero. He's more than happy to do that and to move the ball around and not take the offense into his own hands, which is probably smart because, he's really only effective, consistently efficiency-wise within 12 feet or so. Getting those jumpers off the glass, finishing at the rim.
That kid, he might be the guy.
Hero? Dude, I love his confidence for a 20-year-old.
That dude's a beast, man.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I think the problem with him is he's 20,
Yes.
And so when he's around these, like, grown-ass men who are like a real alpha doggy, like Jimmy, the thing about Jimmy Butler is, like, he's like the heart and soul, the foundation of their team. But, like, when that kid gets that thing where he's like, nah, man, give me the ball. When he really gets that, it's like,
But I think that Jimmy is the perfect teammate for that because he's
more than happy to be like, yeah, man.
Yeah. he's about winning. So if that is going to get us to a W, that's why when why Philly let him go. I mean, the discord that he had with the coach and also Ben Simmons. But still,
where's Tyler Hero from? Is he American born? He's not a foreign player, right? Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Milwaukee.
There he is, man. I always ask. Remember, I was asking one of the other times I've been on the show. I was like, name me a white American-born starter in the NBA. It's a hard list.
Well, it's legit.
It's a hard list to come up with, man.
Yeah, I agree.
And this guy, he's there now. He's like number one on the list right now. He's the great white hope.
Without a doubt. Look, if your team has a primary, that's a white guy into the modern NBA, instantly you're like, man, I don't know about this.
If he doesn't have an itch in his name, he's not usually very good. You know what I mean?
No. I mean, look, if you want to call Steve Nash, but he was Canadian, but still North American born.
Yeah. When you have to go to
exactly,
you have to go to all the Americas just to find somebody that's born on our soil who's in the upper echelon, it's pretty tough.
In our fucking hemisphere.
Yeah, but this guy, he's the truth, man. That guy is really good.
He's got all the confidence in the world.
NBA looks bright, it looks good. There's a lot of great stars coming up, but again, I don't know. They have to have a perfect game tonight, or are they going to have to get 12 points from a dude that you go, I can't believe that guy came in and gave him 12.
Needs to hit 3 threes.
Yeah, something like that. But I don't know. I think they want to go home, man. Honestly, I think all of them want to go home.
Really, because it's only a week's difference at this point. So you got to think to yourself, I don't care if I have to stay till Tuesday because that's when they would be done and they could go home on Wednesday. So it's not even. It's 5 days. It's 5 extra days. I think going home at this point, if I'm there, just like it makes no difference. 5 extra days. I'm here for.
They've been there a long time, though. They've been there a long time.
Yeah, a long time. Some of the media members have been there for 100 days.
Oh God, can you even imagine? I don't know. I don't know if even people are watching. I even found myself not wanting to watch some of the games, man. I was like, my Clippers were on, and I was like, I don't want to watch this.
Oh, really? Yeah, it
just felt weird to me. I don't know.
I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I've loved every single second of it.
Oh, that's good. That's good, man. I like to hear that, but it's just I don't know. I've been feeling weird about the pandemic, the bubble, and all this stuff that's going on. It makes me feel weird about sports.
I agree. I mean, it's
are you a baseball fan? I haven't even. Yeah. Who is? I don't know anyone.
Neither do I. Benji
I don't know
would be
one
the only baseball fan I know. That's about it.
They anyways.
Yeah, and it's NFL and NBA, and then after that, I don't really pay attention to much of anything else.
Yeah, me either, dude. I don't. Yeah, it's like I think the hockey. I don't even. Didn't hockey finish? Didn't they crown a champion? I don't even. It was like
no idea.
Who won? I don't even. This is what I'm saying about it. It's like the sports have been so weird, and now even with the NFL, now they try to ignore the coronavirus, and now it's like you know what I mean. They try to be like, now we're gonna be fine. These are men we're playing with. All of a sudden now they're just like, oh no,
because we have a traveling staff of 200 people that goes to every game. This is totally gonna work out. Just well.
Yeah, and it's just like it just to me what it does is it spoil like this bubble of the NBA. The bubble is not just for the player's safety. It's to ensure the integrity of the game. That's part of it.
I mean, that would have been the biggest. If there's going to be an asterisk on the season, it's what if, LeBron got COVID and they had to miss 2 weeks. Yeah. Just like, okay, well, this is.
Yeah. Then you go,
isn't the same thing.
Yeah. It just deflates the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Like when that game when Cam Newton didn't get to play, I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and by the way, it's like even for things like gambling and, fantasy sports, people have been playing fantasy sports for years. It's like part of our thing, and then you're trying to do your thing, and all of a sudden so my favorite player can't play for 2 weeks, or you've postponed this changes the whole thing. It's like it just messes with the integrity of the game. So kudos to the NBA for even getting to what they did. They made it look good. I loved how it looked. After a while you just go, oh, you didn't even think about it.
Yeah, I hated the fan thing at first, and then now I'm like, it's kind of they at least tried to do something interesting.
Bro, I hate it when there's empty virtual seats.
How can there be empty virtual seats?
Are there empty virtual seats?
There's 400 seats. You're not telling me there's a waiting list of 1,000 people trying to get in?
It was so ridiculous looking. I was like, how are these seats empty?
Yeah, at least put in a fake person.
Put in a fucking old video or something. You know what I mean? It didn't make that just really bugged me. That bugged the shit out of me.
I mean, sometimes they put in like, oh, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they've got 40 of those. So perhaps they leave some empty to plug in when ABC wants to promote some new show coming in.
Here's the cast of such and such. I know, but it's like still, man. That bugged me. So, but I don't know.
So basically, you're saying the series is over tonight.
I would be surprised if the Lakers lost tonight.
So would I. I wish that weren't the case.
I would be surprised, but if they win, see, here's the thing too, though. If Miami wins, I hope they win and it was a great game. Meaning, like they had a great showing, and it just turned out that they had the Lakers number tonight. But I don't want it to be like Miami wins because Anthony Davis didn't look himself today, or LeBron had 9 turnovers and he just was kind of like, ugh. But see, I don't, because that's what happened that other game. That other game, Anthony Davis just shows up, they win,
Well, it was either 10 or 11 turnovers in the first quarter. So you could tell they mentally were not into this game.
I don't want it to be one of those type of games, because then you were still just going to be like, well, the Lakers didn't show. If Miami wins, I want them to win the game.
Well, of course, you want to see the best competition and
that's basically what I'm saying. But I don't know. I just it sucks. I'm still a little, like I said, I got my Clippers shirt on right now because I'm upset that the Clippers, this is the second time now that we had a championship caliber team and we didn't do it.
This is the only time I've ever actually believed the Clippers could win the championship.
Man, that 1 year, there was that 1 year that we lost to Houston 3-1. Yeah, that was because every other year after that in the playoffs, the Clippers, Chris Paul got hurt or Blake Griffin got hurt.
True.
That was the year that no one was hurt. We just lost. We would have gone to the Western Conference Finals, and I think at that point we had the right matchup with the Golden State Warriors to beat them. There was the first year, the year that like LeBron almost won without his 2 best players. You know what I mean?
Well, he got 2 games off of them in the finals, but I thought that was a Herculean effort in and of itself that year.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like that's the team we could have beat. We could have beat Golden State Warriors that year.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they weren't the golden. They were still on their ascendancy, so they had.
So were we?
True. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. We just didn't
nail
do
in
it.
the coffin, though, was the Rockets' second unit that climbed back into that game.
No, let's not reopen this wound, okay?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Listen, do you want to get into my atrocious Bulls and the fucking
your
Bulls
it's been 20 years since your Bulls have been good, right?
There were some Derrick Rose years where had he not gotten hurt in the playoffs, I think we could have given LeBron a run for his money, but
not when LeBron said, I'll guard Derrick Rose now. That's what happened in that.
Okay, well, he blows out his ACL. That team is entirely built around him 100%. You can't really shift at that point to do anything other than what they did.
Yeah, but any team that is built around a dude who's under 6'5", it's just real hard. It's hard in this day and age.
Well, you need to be Steph Curry. You need to be able to shoot.
Well, or Steph Curry,
or Dame Lillard, or
he needs 3 or 4 guys around him that like Dame Lillard's great. He's great. He's phenomenal. You would want Dame Lillard. They're never going to win if he's the best player on the team and just him. He's too little, man. He's too little. It's a big man's game. I don't care how good he does. When it comes down to the playoffs and they slow that shit down and they're pounding it inside and it's a half-court game, no little man in this day and age is going to beat a dude, these other dudes. It's just not going to happen, man. You heard it here. It's not going to happen.
I have belief in that Dame could be the lead on a championship team, but I don't know if Portland will ever be able to put it together to enable that to happen. So who knows? But that's neither here nor there.
Maybe if Jimmy Butler would have gone to Portland, it would have been different.
Still, though, so you're going to shift he'll play small forward. They got Nurkic back. Yeah, it could, but he's firmly entrenched in Miami now, and he's going to be there for the next 3 years.
Yeah, I don't think Pat Riley's going to let him leave. I think this is this. Did you hear that rumor that Jimmy Butler might be Michael Jordan's son?
What? I have not heard that rumor.
Oh yeah, dude. I love all these NBA rumor websites. So I saw they had this picture, like they cut it in half, and it was like they had Michael Jordan on this side and Jimmy Butler on this side, and they cut their things in half. And you look and you go, oh, maybe is this true? Is this
really
Michael Jordan's love child?
Still, like, okay, so what? They put Jordan in Texas at the, whatever it was, 28 years ago.
Hey,
like,
dude. Yeah.
How far does this conspiracy theory go?
Yeah. He travels. He goes to Texas 9 times. A year, whatever it is, a year.
That. But do they have like his mom?
He goes to Dallas. He plays Dallas. He plays Houston twice. You know what I mean? Dallas twice, Houston twice.
Yeah, but I'm asking. They're Tripoli Jr. How far this conspiracy theory goes?
I don't know, man. I just saw it on it. I love those NBA. I don't know if I don't believe it. I'm just saying it's like, you're the NBA guy. I thought maybe you heard.
I have not. Like I have not.
I'm gonna send you the videos so you can look at it. It's just, it's one of those. It's one of those clickbait videos. You know what I mean?
No, of course it is.
You see the thing, and you go, what?
I'll watch it for sure, just to see if there's any remote validity, like how much I can talk myself into it. But without any further beyond the side-by-side picture, I'm going to call bullshit on that. So,
you calling bullshit? How dare you?
What about, all right, so looking forward. So if LeBron wins this one, say he only gets one of the next 2 after that. So he gets 2 out of 3 out of the next 3 years. Maybe he makes it to all 3. Maybe he doesn't. How many does he need to solidify before he genuinely enters into potential GOAT status for you?
Well, to me, first of all, I'm one of these people that I'm a Michael Jordan guy, but I'm one of these people that I'll listen to any legit. It's a legit argument already.
Yeah,
it's already a legit argument. 10 times to the finals, 3 different teams. He's playing at an all-star. He was in the MVP conversation at 35. He was legit number 2. And to me, he should have won the MVP this year. He led the league in assists at 35 years old, not a point guard. All right. He's already done enough accomplishments where
he's
you can
a point guard.
But you can have, even if he has the point guard ability, he's never played it like this. Like he actually took it on and said, okay, I'm going to be the facilitator this year. Yeah. All I'm saying is, you can legitimately sit down and have a professional debate, and at the end of it, you'd be like, okay, maybe. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not close, is what I'm saying. No one else is that close besides Kareem. No one else is close like that, Yeah. No one else. And it's just Kareem played so long ago that it's hard to, but he's got 6 championships, 2 different teams, and he was dominant, So, but the kids today, they don't even know who that is. They're like, who? Who's that? Kids are already kind of like, why do you keep talking about Michael Jordan? Kids are already at that point right now, but there's already a legit argument. So what I'm saying is this: first of all, he gets 5 championships. If he gets 3 championships with the Lakers, let's just say 3 with the Lakers. Hey, you're already talking about, is he the greatest Laker of all time? You know what I mean?
Okay,
you know what I mean? No, I'm just saying,
he'll never win that argument.
I understand, but you can. What I'm saying is, he can make himself a case for it. He already, he just needed to be at the. If he was, how about this? If he had been at a Laker this whole time in his whole career, if he'd been a Laker, if things had been different, you'd be like, oh, he hands down best Laker of all time. But what I'm saying is, like, when you're picking the greatest Lakers of all time now, and if you had to pick, you're picking the draft, it's going to be hard not to pick LeBron James. It's going to be, if you're putting the team together, he's going to be in the starting 5.
If you shift Davis to the center, which in the modern game, he lines up at the 4 to start the game, but he ultimately closes the game as center. Pick the greatest Lakers center.
Yeah. It was, I know.
You got Kareem, Wilt, Shaq, and now AD. It's
tough.
That's it. I mean, the Lakers fans bitching like, oh my God, it's been so long since we've been in the championships. Like, it's ridiculous. Stop bitching. The rest of us are over here, rarely if ever making it. And you've made it to 32 of the finals. So I don't want to hear it, especially when you look at like their all-time team.
Especially modern era. Like I don't want to hear about like the Celtics. It's like okay, great. So there were 6 teams in the league, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. You had most of the
The
money,
playoffs
and you had
were
all
2
the
rounds.
yeah.
So
So
like, okay.
I don't want to hear about those modern era. The Lakers have been dominant consistently. The cycles go, and then they have a great team.
So how many championships or at least finals appearances do you think that LeBron needs to have to fully cement the argument?
Well, I think he needs to win them. He's got enough finals appearances. He's got enough of those. He's got to win. I think if he gets and it's got to be like there's got to be a repeat or a three-peat in there. But this is it. He's got to have one of those. I think if he gets 6 championships, if he finishes his career with 6 championships and 12 finals appearances, man.
Yeah.
Man.
Because that's always a Jordan 6-0 and whatnot. And right now you could ding LeBron because he's got more losses in the column in the finals than he does wins. But if he ends up with
personally, I don't care about that. And then when you look like
outside of that first Mavericks one with the Heat, that's the only time where, because he was fully overmatched with the Cavs when he was a young guy, and it was really impressive that they got there. But he disappeared in 2011 against the Mavs.
Right. But we saw that's the growth. That next year was his growth as a player. And that was also and then that 4th year when they lost
to the Spurs.
That was the ding on the Heat franchise. The
AC goes off, and that was the kryptonite apparently to LeBron.
No, what I'm saying is I'm saying they didn't do what they needed to do to keep that team going in that final year. They didn't sign the players they needed to sign. They should have spent the money they needed to spend, and I think that they would have won that championship. But there was missing pieces in that Heat when they lost to the Spurs. But no knock on the Spurs. I mean, they listen. Kawhi Leonard hits the second free throw, they win that. They win the championship.
Yeah, or they have Tim Duncan on the floor to get the rebound instead of Chris Bosh.
You mean against Chris Bosh? Who knows? But he's neither here than all I'm saying though is here's what I know for a fact: Kawhi Leonard hits a free throw, they win the championship. Like he lost them the championship on a free throw, because they would have been up 4, game over. They had the shit set up, man. Yeah. They had the crowd. They had they were ready. They had champagne in the locker room. They were ready to win the championship. He misses that free throw. Ray Allen hits a 3, and then they lose game 7. So he hits the free throw in game 6. They win the championship. So it's like,
but that's the difference. I mean, no one remembers that. They remember the shot, just like no one remembers George Hill missing the free throw in game 1 of last year. They just remember JR running to the top of the key to run up the clock. Yeah. It's like there are plays that preceded that actually had as much on the outcome.
Right. But that was LeBron's 51 point. Like in all those 4 times that they got to the championship in Cleveland in LeBron's last 4 years in Cleveland, because they got to the championship 4 times in a row, right? Yeah, they did.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, the game. Yeah. He was the best player on the court every single year.
I think Kevin Durant would like to have a word with you.
He can have all the words he wants, but LeBron James was the best. If you put LeBron on Golden State and Kevin Durant on Cleveland, first of all, they don't do the same thing.
Who knows?
We already saw what Kevin Durant does when he has one other player like Russell Westbrook and James Harden.
Well,
LeBron lost.
But there's a chance. Windhorse put out a story. It was yesterday or the day before, where at the Olympics, right after OKC had made their push to the finals, and Kobe sidled up to Westbrook and was like, "Dude, you could be the points leader in the NBA. I don't know why Kevin Durant is scoring all the points on your team," knowing full well that he's going to have to go through OKC, this young Buck squad. So he's trying to sow discord between the two of them, and perhaps that was the initial thing that helped separate them, and they both felt like they should be shooting the ball at all times. Yeah, if it was Kobe, good for him, man. That's good.
You know what? But when it all said and done, though, when you look back on it, Russell Westbrook, he first of all, Kevin Durant's not like, it's not like Russell Westbrook's here and Kevin Durant is here. No, that dude's a monster. Russell Westbrook is a monster.
You're telling me if you got to start a team and you have the choice between the two, you're going to take Westbrook.
it depends on where I'm picking in a draft, like or whatever. Like if you're who else is on my team?
Well, I don't know. You're starting. This is the first. You're going to pick the team after to surround. So I'm saying
so you're starting. If no, this is important, man. It's important to know, like, what pick am I on right now?
You have the number 1 pick, and the top 2 players in this draft, hands down, are Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook.
I'll take Russell Westbrook and whoever I pick second over Kevin Durant and whoever else you have on the team.
Can't wait, because I got second pick in Durant, and we are going to crush you guys in the playoffs every year.
I don't. That's not he hasn't proven that ever in his career ever.
He's got a chip. He's got a chip,
and no one respects it. You don't respect it.
No
NBA fan respects those championships. Not one. You join a 73 win team. You join arguably the greatest team ever.
Well, you don't win the championship, you don't get to call yourself the greatest team ever.
I know. Hey, agreed. But you joined that team. You joined that team that beat you. You think that we respect that championship? It's the reason why he left, man. He knows.
Yeah, he does. He knows. That's why he has all the burner accounts, and he's got everything else.
He knows. He should have stayed in OKC, or he could have went. I wish he would have came to the Clippers. Like, be the reason you win the championship. Be the
with the Nets. Getting his guy and Steve Nash in there.
We'll never know, man, because the dude, no player in NBA history has come back from Achilles.
I know,
with the same player.
If he comes back at 90 to 95%, that's still all NBA level production.
Well, he's still better than most. So
yeah,
even 80% of Kevin Durant is better than anybody on your Bulls.
80% is an all-star.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
May not be all NBA anymore, but it's all-star. Like
yeah.
So long as you can get back to a close approximation, you're still a 7'1" dude who can shoot from anywhere on the floor.
I really want to see. I want to see Lakers Nets next year. I would love to see that. But you know what? I just don't think he has that in him. I don't think he has that. I think he's going to find out exactly why no one wants to play with Kyrie Irving. That's the first thing.
That's the biggest problem.
He's going to find that out. Like, you think that Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving are that different in terms of like their mentality? He already had the problem with the other guy. You think he's going to now all of a sudden we're going to find out who the real problem is, bro?
The only difference is Durant and Kyrie chose to play together, whereas Westbrook and Durant were drafted together.
Dude, it's like when you pick a roommate in college. Okay. It's all fine and dandy on paper when you're like, this guy's got the same look. He's got the same interests as me, and when we filled out this survey, it worked out great. And then when they actually start playing together, they're gonna be like, oh,
we'll see, because they're both guys that want to have the ball and play ISO in their hands. Even though Durant talks about wanting to be in a free flow offense.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's
time to like, hey man, give me the ball.
That was the problem with OKC, is eventually it just became Westbrook goes down and he ISOs, and then the next trip down, Durant ISOs, and then it's Westbrook's turn, and then it's Durant's turn. It's like, this is easy to game plan again. It's if this is what you guys are going to do. So Kyrie loves to have the ball in his hands. So does Durant.
Well, he's great with the ball in his hands.
He is.
The guy's a phenomenal talent. Like, Jesus, I've never seen anybody.
But
he's got the best handle. He can shoot.
Yeah, he's got the best handle I've ever seen.
He's good for a little man inside the paint, how he finishes in the paint. I mean, the guy's great. He's a great player.
Yeah, I don't know. He sows discord within the locker room for no reason. So,
I mean, it's like there's all egomaniacs. This is what I'm saying about coaching. True.
We'll see. Maybe Steve Nash can rein him in and get him to play, much like Phil Jackson with Michael Jordan.
I don't know, man. As much as they look, everything you hear about Steve Nash, apparently he's like just a great motivator and a great because he already moved into like player coaching.
Yeah.
Since he's retired, he's already like.
Oh, he was the general on the floor.
But no, I'm talking about his career now. What he's doing now, what he has been doing now for the past since he retired is he's a player coach. He comes in and he's been doing that with Kevin Durant. It's the reason why he got the job. The reason why he got the job. So I think they trust him and they believe in what he says. But when it's all said and done, though, Kevin, I mean, like a guy like Kyrie Irving's like, I'm still better than you. Like, I was better than you even when you were playing. He should. You know what I mean? They just have that kind of like mentality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and rightly so. If you're that good at it, you have to think that you're the best. You just have to.
Yeah.
But I would take Steve Nash over Kyrie.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that's just because of what we know, right? But you're just talking about talent. It's like a game for your life. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. It's like
he's got all the talent, yeah. But I think Steve would be able to, just like LeBron does, or anybody with a good basketball IQ, see the floor as a whole, as opposed to Kyrie just seeing the man in front of him.
Yeah, whatever his thing is, who knows?
I don't know.
I mean, the NBA is, what the NBA is full of? Unfulfilled potential.
Still, though, at the same time, the amount of potential that's only partially fulfilled is really impressive.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. But I mean, you can look. I mean, there's just countless players throughout history that you just look at them and you just go, "Damn, that guy!" Like, remember Derek Coleman?
I was about to say Derek Coleman. I'm not even kidding, because Derek
Coleman was one of the greatest talents.
You talk to anybody from that era when he was a young guy, and to a man, they all say he could have been the greatest.
Yeah, just unfulfilled potential, or it didn't pan out the way even a guy like Chris Webber, in his later part of his career, he wasn't the same physical specimen that he was when that Sacramento team was finally clicking. Mm-hmm. He was just a smarter, savvy player, but he wasn't the guy. I have a VHS tape of Chris Webber scoring 40, 10, and 10 when he was a Washington Wizard.
I think the NBA's problem, like for those guys, when they came in, there was no rookie scale. So they were getting those $100 million deals before they'd ever bounced a basketball on an NBA court. Just like, oh, how do you motivate a young kid at this point to buy into team defense and hustling, getting back?
Again, that's the coach's job, man.
It is, but when you're getting paid literally what they're
paying, but again, that's why you're paying the guy leading them millions of dollars too.
Well, but at that time, the coaches were not getting anywhere near what they get now, and their players are making 20 to 30 times.
But I'm saying whatever the coach is getting, it's more than, it's still a lot of money.
Oh,
Even if you're getting $2 million a year, your job is to get egomaniacs to play together. That's literally your job. You're like an NFL kicker. Okay. If you miss field goals, you're fired. Okay. There's nothing you can't, as an NFL kicker, you can't go, well, I also block. No, man.
It's not why we pay you.
I don't care about what other thing on your list of duties. The one top duty is you have to put the ball through the uprights. As an NBA coach, literally your top job is to get millionaires to play cohesively as a team. That is your job.
There it is, right there. I say we end on that because I can keep going, but it's already in an hour.
Oh man, I know. But you know what? I know I'm gonna enjoy the game tonight.
So am I. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward. You know what? By the way, I'm a Clippers fan, but I've always been a LeBron James fan. I just think he's amazing. I think he doesn't get enough credit, and he gets too much credit sometimes, and he doesn't get enough credit most of the time.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I think it's just a sign of his greatness, man. Like I've said this on your show before. I'm finished with this. It's just, I'm saying look, that Golden State Warriors team with Kevin Durant was just going to be unbeatable. You can't add a generational talent to a 73-win team and expect them not to win, right?
Yeah.
And the only reason why it was watchable was because of how great we feel LeBron James is. Just his thing alone, just thinking that, can he do it? Because no one else can do it but him. And so that's how great he is. But people don't realize that feeling that you have is because of his greatness. But he makes it look so easy. He just makes it look like,
Look, the only knock I've had on LeBron by and large through the finals and the playoffs is I wish you didn't complain about every call that didn't go your way.
Well, they're all that way, man.
I know. But that's so annoying. The knock. It's not, hey, you shouldn't be shooting as much from here, or hey, you need to get your teammates more involved, or hey, you need to try. It's nothing where it's a actual what the gentleman can do on the court. It's like you shouldn't bitch so much. You already get the preponderance of calls. Rightly so. You've earned that right. I'm not saying that. It's just when you complain, when you don't get one of how many ever calls you're getting a game, it gets a little annoying. That's it. That's my qualm with him at this point. That's how good the guy is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, anything you want to plug before we get out of here, sir?
Well, what I've been doing recently is I'm still doing comedy with these dumb little shows that they got going on, all these parking lot shows, but I'm mainly gaming now. So you can catch me at Erik Griffin Gaming. So you can check me out on that.
Is that YouTube, Twitch? What is that?
Twitch, mostly on Twitch. Every single day.
What are you
I'm
playing?
on Twitch, Erik Griffin Gaming.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh,
you got 2 R's in that, do you?
No, I didn't spell it right. Damn it! I was trying to be slick. Now I got to do it again.
That was pretty slick, though.
So there it is, right there. Erik Griffin Gaming daily on Twitch, and you can catch me there, and I still have my website, erikgriffin.com, so you can find me there.
We got them all locked and loaded. This is great. You went from having a little bit of trouble on the before we started.
And then as always on Instagram and Twitch, I'm in Twitter at Erik Griffin.
That's beautiful. Well, hit him up on Twitch. What games are you playing?
I like play a lot of Call of Duty right now. The Warzone. It's such a challenging game. You start with 150 people, and you have to get down to the final circle. So I love those battle royale games. So, but catch me daily on that. And I sometimes I play a little 2K too, also. But I just hate basketball games on the computer. I hate them.
They're the worst.
I hate them.
They're the worst.
Don't even get me started. We could do a whole episode on that. But
my favorite was always hockey, and I don't even watch hockey. But I think in video,
it's a better game because you feel like you have more control over the result.
Yes.
When you're playing NBA games, you go, "Why did that guy miss that shot? Why did he miss that shot?
Why is he going for a layup? This dude only dunks. He only dunks."
Another episode.
Yeah. And I haven't played in years because my frustration built to the point of I was just like, I'm never playing another basketball game again because they're terrible.
Yeah. That's how I feel about it too.
All right. Well, hit him up over at Twitch, Erik Griffin Gaming, or anywhere on Twitter, Instagram at Erik Griffin. Dude, it's good to see you.
You too, dude. Let's talk soon.
All right. That is it for today's Dropping Times. Perhaps it's the last of the season. If it is, thanks to everybody that joined and subscribed to the channel. You can follow me anywhere at Matt Nost. If not, I will see you guys next week. If there happens to be more games, we shall see. But otherwise, adios.
See you, buddy.